My breakup with Harvey Fu, the wealthy heir, was amicable. He reunited with his long-lost love, the one he'd always cherished. As his stand-in, I accepted the 40 million yuan breakup fee with tears and quietly stepped aside. It was a very dignified exit, right? So why, not long after we parted ways, did he suddenly start hunting me down, threatening to kill me? Heaven knows I did nothing wrong. I just went on a blind date and found a new guy. Is that really such a big deal? Subscribe now, the story begins. Inside an upscale Western restaurant. My blind date hadn't arrived yet. Sitting across from me was Laura, the restaurant owner and my best friend. She looked at me in surprise. Who's the blind date? The grandson of my grandmother's old friend. I shrugged, swirling the ice in my whiskey glass, sounding perfectly calm. The old lady specifically asked me on her deathbed to meet him, no matter what. Laura nodded, hesitated for a few seconds, then couldn't resist whispering, "What about Harvey? You loved him so much, 4 years of love, and you're willing to let it go so lightly?" So lightly. The phrase was apt, but not quite accurate. I tilted my head back and took a sip of my drink, smiling faintly. The breakup fee was 40 million. Not exactly light. That's all the conscience he has left. Laura snorted indignantly. But then, as if remembering something, she touched her nose with a strange expression. "Skylar, I'm sorry. I didn't bring back your luggage from Harvey's place." I froze slightly. What did she mean, didn't bring it back? After the breakup, I'd rushed back to the countryside to handle Grandma's funeral and only returned to City A yesterday. Packing up my things had to be left to Laura. After all, I'd taken the settlement money. I needed to be sensible and clear out quickly. Laura pressed her hand to her chest, her voice still tinged with fear. It was terrifying. "When I went to pack your things yesterday, Harvey wasn't at the office, he was home. He just sat on the couch, staring at me without saying a word." It made my skin crawl. Finally, after everything was packed, as I was about to pull the suitcase out, he suddenly said, "Nice hands. Chop them off." He nearly scared me to tears. Those words were exactly the kind Harvey would say. But this? This wasn't something he'd actually do. Our breakup had been so amicable and civilized, everything settled cleanly. Why would he suddenly hold my luggage hostage? Laura looked at me and whispered, "He didn't seem like he wanted to fight with you." I shook my head. That's impossible. Everyone in our circle knew about my history with Harvey. Back then, his white moonlight, Helen, had rejected his advances to pursue her dreams, leaving without a word for overseas. Harvey had sunk into despair for a long time afterward. I couldn't do much, only stay quietly by his side, keeping watch over him. Truthfully, I never expected anything more. But then, on Christmas morning 4 years ago, as I handed Harvey his usual cup of honey water to sober him up after a night of drinking, he suddenly looked at me and asked, "Do you like me?" Caught off guard, I flushed and stammered, I never thought about it. Stay with me." I replaced Helen and devoted myself to Harvey for 4 years. And in those 4 years, no one else ever appeared by his side. Everyone in our circle called me the most successful backup ever. I believed it too, convinced we had a future together. But then, on our 4th anniversary, Helen returned. With just one sentence, "Harvey, I missed you," she dragged him off to the airport. I was left alone in the villa decorated with proposal balloons, waiting foolishly until midnight. Finally, I received Harvey's 40 million breakup settlement. His long-lost love returned, and he couldn't wait for me to get lost. How could he not want to break up? I shrugged, feigning nonchalance. "Now, I just hope this city is big enough that I never run into him again in this lifetime." Laura pursed her lips and nodded in agreement. "Yeah, everyone in our circle knows about your history. It'd be so awkward to meet again." My eyes narrowed. My gaze swept past Laura's shoulder, locking onto Harvey walking into the restaurant entrance. I watched him pause slightly before striding toward me. I couldn't help but sigh. "Laura, your mouth is like a magic spell." I chose to go on this blind date at Laura's husband's restaurant for 3 main reasons. 1, it's close to my flagship hot pot restaurant. 2, it's close to where the guy I'm meeting lives. 3, Laura and her husband built their business from scratch, they're not part of Harvey's circle. So I figured the chances of running into other acquaintances here should be pretty slim. Who could have guessed? Laura gave an awkward laugh, her voice lacking confidence. As we spoke, Harvey had already reached our table. Without a word, he merely raised an eyebrow at Laura. She looked like someone had grabbed her by the scruff of the neck. She promptly abandoned me. Clearly, helping me pack my luggage had genuinely frightened her. I raised an eyebrow, poured myself a whiskey, and offered a calm smile to Harvey as he sat down across from me. "Mr. Fu, do me the honor?" Over 10 days had passed since our breakup. Seeing him again, I found myself unexpectedly calm. Harvey remained motionless, his dark eyes fixed intently on me. Despite his strikingly handsome features, his silence radiated an overwhelming sense of pressure. I silently tightened my grip on the glass, my smile unwavering. After half a minute of standoff, Harvey smiled, raised an eyebrow, and picked up the glass. He held it without drinking, his gaze probing. "When did you return?" "Yesterday," I replied with a smile. After all, I still have a shop to run. Unlike Mr. Fu, I can't afford to waste time. Harvey nodded, his expression softening slightly. "Here to see Laura?" I paused, about to speak, when a stunningly handsome man in a white casual shirt and blue jeans appeared at the table. He glanced at me and Harvey with surprise, hesitation flickering in his dark eyes. His voice was deep and magnetic. "Skylar Lynn?" "That's me," I replied. "Are you Parker Ning?" Parker nodded, then turned to Harvey. "Did I arrive too early? Did you arrange another blind date?" The moment the words left his mouth, Harvey's expression darkened. "You're here for a blind date?" "Yes, for a blind date." I offered a faint smile. "Then I won't see Mr. Fu off?" Harvey shot me a glance, his brow furrowing deeper. He didn't rise, instead shifting his gaze to Parker, his eyes darkening. "Mr. Fu?" I lowered my tone, repeating my request for him to leave. The way he was scrutinizing my guest was downright rude. "Why the rush?" Harvey arched an eyebrow, his eyes clouded with a shadow I couldn't decipher. Suddenly, he tugged at the corner of his mouth and let out a soft snort. "After all, we shared a bed for 4 years. How about I vet your next partner for you? What do you say?" Humiliation crawled up my spine as I clenched my fists. How much more did this man need to hurt me before he was satisfied? "No need for your concern, Mr. Fu." I forced a smile, lifting my gaze to Harvey, my heart turning icy. "Grandma picked this person for me. Her eyes never fail." Harvey's dark eyes narrowed slightly, fixed on me with a probing gaze. Yet he remained silent. The sudden ring of a phone tore open a crack in the frozen tension. Harvey frowned, pulled out his phone, and his expression softened immediately. "Harvey, aren't you here yet?" A sweet voice came through the receiver, clear enough for me to hear. "Helen." Harvey's gaze swept over my face, his eyes darkening slightly. "I'm here." Downstairs. Machem ran into an old friend. "Just exchanged pleasantries. We're done talking. I'll be right up." An old friend. Exchanged pleasantries. I smiled. My manicured nails dug into my palm, the pain shooting straight to my heart. Harvey hung up, rose calmly, and smoothed his cuffs. "You two carry on. I won't disturb you." Watching his retreating figure ascend the stairs, a dull ache filled my chest. Lost in thought, biting my lip, Parker casually sat across from me. His refined brows curved slightly as he offered a faint smile. "So, Miss Lin, are you ready for my turn?" My emotions snapped back into focus. I blinked away tears, surprised. "Mr. Ning actually wants to continue?" Parker's thin lips curved slightly, his expression utterly natural. "Why wouldn't I want to continue? First, I have good judgment. I can see what's going on here, and I don't think Miss Lin did anything wrong. Second, I have a normal set of values. I'm not one of those people who cares whether a woman has had previous partners. Finally, beyond this blind date, I have other matters requiring Miss Lin to take responsibility." For a moment, I couldn't process what I'd heard. Stunned, I looked at him. "Take responsibility?" Parker's lips tightened slightly before he suddenly said, "I have a dog. It eats skewers." My brain nearly short-circuited. What? Parker pulled out his phone and placed it before me. Confused, I looked down. One glance was enough to leave me dumbstruck. It was surveillance footage from a streetlight camera. The date matched the night Harvey and I broke up. The 40 million yuan check lay sprawled on the ground. I was hugging a wine bottle, sobbing like a dog on the curb outside the hot pot restaurant. Beside me, a real dog was crouched, stealing the skewers I'd taken from the restaurant. "Little pup, you have a tag, why are you still wandering? You got dumped too, huh? Wah, me too. This skewer's cold now, don't eat it. See that place? I own it! Come back tomorrow at this time. We're sisters in misery. I'll treat you to good food every day. In the video, drunk out of my mind, I tugged the puppy's left ear, babbling nonsense. Off-screen, I covered my face, wishing I could dig a hole and bury myself. The surveillance footage is crystal clear. Bella really did go the next night. She waited outside the hot pot restaurant all night. But Miss Lin, you never showed up. My expression froze. Because the next day, I got a call about my grandmother's critical condition and rushed back to the countryside. Parker locked his phone screen, looked up at me with a lingering gaze, and after a moment added, after that night, Bella truly learned what human cruelty feels like. She's been depressed at home ever since. Driving a dog into depression. This is a pretty heavy burden to bear. I'll treat, I absolutely have to treat. Let's go buy skewers right now, and the best dog food. I'll go apologize to Bella. Parker pursed his lips, pulled up his account QR code, and placed it before me. Clearly, my credit with him wasn't exactly stellar. I quickly pulled out my phone and scanned his friend code. Staring at the adorable golden retriever on his profile picture, I covered my face. Mr. Ning, rest assured, I'll take full responsibility. Parker pursed his lips again, non-committal. Let's go. I grabbed my bag and hurried after him. But the moment I stepped outside, a sudden chill washed over me, as if someone was watching me with a dark, brooding gaze. My feet froze. Instinctively, I looked up toward the second-floor staircase. Harvey stood there, his eyes fixed on me with a heavy gaze. Behind him stood several young men wearing expressions of contempt toward me. Beside him stood Helen, dressed in a haute couture dress, her demeanor elegant and refined. They were all here? I frowned and glanced at Laura behind the bar, silent as a mouse. Laura's face paled. She shook her head frantically at me, mouthing loudly, I didn't know. Helen's eyes lit up when she spotted me. As if completely unaware that Harvey and I had dated for 4 years, she was overly friendly. Skylar. You're here too? It's been ages. I curled my lips into a nod. Miss Helen, it's been a while. Helen gestured toward the crowd behind her, her expression both delighted and resigned. I just returned to the country, and everyone arranged this welcome banquet for me. We'll also take a look at my new restaurant later. She glanced at Harvey with a playful pout, her lips curving into a sweet smile. Harvey, you know, he absolutely insisted on opening a hot pot restaurant on this very street. I recall. Skylar, you're in the hot pot business too, right? We're colleagues now. Why don't you come help me brainstorm ideas? She's getting into hot pot too. My eyebrows shot up as I turned to Harvey. Competition among peers is normal. If it were anyone else, I wouldn't think twice. But Helen? Her family owns a jewelry empire worth billions. What the hell is she doing opening a hot pot restaurant? My family was once among the elite too. But my parents passed away early, and suddenly. Back then, I knew nothing. Our family assets were carved up by the shareholders and uncles. All they left me was a hot pot chain on the brink of collapse. Harvey saw firsthand how I gritted my teeth and endured every hardship just to keep this place afloat. I don't believe he doesn't understand the blow Helen opening a hot pot restaurant on the street would deal me. Harvey's gaze swept over Parker and me. After a few seconds of silence, he said calmly, helping Helen won't hurt you. Yeah, right. Won't hurt you. She dumped me, then turns around wanting back in? I'm supposed to hand her back? Now she wants a slice of my market share for no reason, and I'm supposed to smile and help her strategize? What gives her the nerve? Skylar, come on, Helen pleaded, her face pure innocence. I turned my head and sneered, about to speak, she's busy. Can't make it. Parker, who'd been standing quietly beside us, spoke up unexpectedly. Everyone turned to him in surprise. His expression remained unchanged, his sharp features softening slightly as he smiled at Harvey. She's going to my place. With that, he reached out and took my bag as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The ungrateful boss lady. Shall we go? The term unfaithful boss lady is used quite subtly here. I shot Parker a grateful glance and smiled. Let's go. Going home with someone you just met? Skylar, have you no shame? Harvey's words followed almost immediately. Everyone present froze at his remark. I frowned, anger flaring within me. Holding your current girlfriend while lecturing me about my ex? Got no shame, huh? Mind your fiancé running her hot pot shop. What business is it of yours where I go? Correcting you, Mr. Fu. Unexpectedly, Parker, already at the door, turned back, smiling at Harvey with a raised eyebrow. Skylar and I aren't exactly new acquaintances. So, Mr. Fu, no need to worry. Harvey's expression froze instantly. I blinked, then turned to follow Parker. That remark was odd, but he had a point. Bella was truly hurt by me. The young dog lay on the balcony, looking as if she'd aged a lifetime in that moment. Bella? Bella, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. I bought you deluxe dog food, please, just take a bite. I knelt on one knee on the floor, holding the bowl of dog food, sincerely apologizing to Bella. Parker sat on the sofa, watching quietly. I kept feeling like he was mocking me. But when I glanced his way, he wasn't smiling. By the time Bella finally let me pick her up and play, the sky outside had grown dark. The scent of food wafting from the kitchen made my stomach growl. Parker stood by the dining table, tilting his head at me. Come eat. I chuckled and started to stand, but my phone suddenly exploded in my pocket. The shock nearly made me drop Bella. Holding the dog awkwardly, I didn't bother checking the caller ID and just swiped to answer. Hello? Your luggage is still here. Come get it now. I froze, glancing at the screen to confirm. Harvey? Making me pick up luggage this late at night? It's too late. I'll have someone go tomorrow. The line went dead on the other end. I heard a few suppressed breaths before Harvey's icy voice cut through the silence. It must be now. Confused, I took a deep breath, then just threw Fu Xiao's stuff away. The reason I was so insistent on retrieving the luggage was that many of the items had been chosen by Grandma herself, with me by her side. But if clinging to them meant getting entangled with Harvey again, I'd rather not have them. When a person dies, everything becomes meaningless. While Grandma was alive, I fulfilled my filial duty to the fullest. My conscience is clear. After her passing, these mementos, if they can be kept, fine. If not, then so be it. Setting Bella down, I rose from the carpet, intending to hang up immediately. But a sudden, numbing pain shot through my knee. Ugh, ow. I couldn't help but groan. Parker came over to steady my arm. I told you to change positions. Look, your knees are all red. I sighed helplessly. I didn't expect it to take this long. Bang. The sound of someone pounding on the door echoed simultaneously through the phone and outside the room. Stunned and frozen, I heard Harvey's voice, cold as ice through gritted teeth. Skylar, you come out here yourself, or do I have to kick the door down and drag you out? My eyes widened in shock. Harvey was actually at the door? Over the phone, his voice remained icy. 3, 2. Clenching my fists, I took a deep breath to suppress my rising anger. I'm coming out. That lunatic Harvey would totally do something like break down a door. But it wasn't me who opened it, it was Parker. He shielded me behind him, his expression gentle as he met Harvey's gaze outside the door. Is there something you need, Mr. Fu? Harvey's expression was dark and brooding, yet he ignored Parker. His eyes, brimming with fury, fixed on me. You have time to stay here for 5 hours, but no time to collect your own things? I was speechless. Does Mr. Fu have no tomorrow? Is one more night really that critical? Helen's staying at my place tonight. Harvey didn't sound angry. He stared at me, his voice flat. I don't want her seeing your things and feeling uncomfortable. Besides, I don't want you clinging to me afterward, accusing me of withholding your belongings and making a fuss. Take them yourself. Once and for all. My nails dug painfully into my palms as the wound in my heart tore silently, bleeding freely. I unconsciously gripped the door handle, forcing a cold smile. Fine. I'll go get them now. For the first time, I sat in Harvey's car without wanting to say a single word to him. Resting my head against the back seat, I closed my eyes to rest. Got your eye on him? Unexpectedly, Harvey spoke first. I frowned and opened my eyes, meeting his deep gaze in the rearview mirror. After a 3-second pause, I nodded. Yeah, he's pretty good. Pretty good. From what I've seen these past 10 days, you've been doing pretty well for yourself. I thought you might, I raised an eyebrow. Might what? Nothing. Harvey smiled faintly, shifting his gaze back to the road and falling silent. Laura had packed all my belongings. 2 large suitcases sat by the dining table in the living room. Harvey sat down at the table, picked up a glass, and took a calm sip of water. He looked at me but said nothing. I had no intention of wasting words either. Every extra minute spent in this familiar yet alien place tore at my heart. I reached for the suitcase handle, turning to leave. But my wrist was yanked back abruptly. Harvey's fingers tightened relentlessly, squeezing until it hurt. Pain made my brow furrow, draining the color from my face. Didn't you love me madly before? Harvey lifted his head, meeting my eyes as he tugged at his tie. In doing so, he finally tore apart his false calm. You've moved on after just a couple weeks. You can just brush it off and start over with someone else? Do you even believe that yourself? Rage, mingled with humiliation, spiraled up my spine. Harvey's mocking tone about my supposed obsession with him cut deeper than the day he took the breakup settlement. Was this humiliation just because I loved him? I wrenched my hand free, my eyes cold and shattered. Does it matter if I've let go? What matters is I've done what any decent ex should, I've never clung. But Mr. Fu, what's your game today? First time I've heard Mr. Fu keeps a mistress and handles the after-sales service? Could it be that at the last moment, you suddenly realized you don't want to let me go? Harvey kept staring at me, a strange emotion flickering between his brows. After 3 seconds of silence, he suddenly spoke. What if I said yes? My spine froze. For a moment, I even doubted if I just imagined it. Did Harvey just speak? What did he say? Harvey rose from his chair, bracing his arms on either side of me, trapping me between him and the dining table. His ink-black eyes locked onto mine, his voice low and husky. Skylar, if this is some trick of yours, then congratulations, you win. Come back. Stay with me. His thin lips brushed my neck lightly as his magnetic voice murmured, didn't you miss me these past days? I did miss you a little. His lips held a suggestive hint as Harvey tightened his grip around my waist. His towering frame completely enveloped me. Love or not, I didn't even have time to think about it. All I wanted to know was, when Harvey said those words, was Helen still standing there, alive and well? The information overload was overwhelming. I was too stunned to react. No. No, what about Helen? Harvey narrowed his eyes, his tone unwavering. I'll find a place for you to stay. She won't know. Smack! A resounding slap landed on Harvey's face. My body trembled slightly with rage. How dare you think I'd agree to be your mistress? Did he even see me as a person? How deeply must I have loved him to give him such confidence? Skylar, Harvey remained motionless, staring at me with a cold sneer in his voice. There's a limit to playing games. I'm giving you this one chance to make amends. Once you walk out that door today, don't ever think of coming back. My fingers tightened around the suitcase handle. I turned to glare at Harvey's darkening face and sneered coldly, go ahead and cling to your Helen. The only place we'll meet again in this lifetime is the crematorium. After that day, I never crossed paths with Harvey again. But Helen's hot pot restaurant did indeed open with great fanfare. The location was rather telling, just 1 street away from mine. To celebrate the grand opening, they offered a 70% discount for an entire month, burning through cash to build buzz. Every hot pot restaurant on the street was nearly driven out of business by her. I was fine, though. After all, I still had $40 million in my pocket. I could afford to play along, so the losses weren't too bad. But even so, she still snatched away 30% of my customers. Oh well, nothing to be done about it. She's got deep pockets. She can afford to burn money every day. What can you do? Not sure how long my money will last. Squatting on the curb outside my shop, I ruffled Bella's furry head. Staring into her round, alert eyes, I clicked my tongue. Gently tugging her ear, I pointed to the sales report in my hand. Come on, Bella, give me your analysis. Besides price and taste, what other strategies could boost sales? Woof! Bella suddenly perked up like she'd been injected with adrenaline, barking twice toward the end of the street. I looked up blankly and saw Parker striding toward us in casual clothes. Unconsciously, I lifted my face with a mournful expression. Dr. Ning, you're off work pretty early today. After the blind date, Parker and I gradually got to know each other better because of Bella. His doctor's schedule was unpredictable, so he simply entrusted Bella to my care. Since pets weren't allowed in hot pot restaurants, I set up a small umbrella at the entrance and let her sit by the roadside, guarding the door like a door god. Not many surgeries today, Parker smiled, pulling a lollipop from his pocket for me. Have something sweet to lift your spirits. I shook my head, covering Bella's ears with my hand and whispering softly, no thanks. I just petted Bella, my hands aren't clean. Parker raised an eyebrow, bent down to unwrap the lollipop, and held it to my lips, open wide. I froze, feeling inexplicably awkward. Just as I reached to take it myself, the leash in my hand jerked violently. Caught off guard, I stumbled forward. Luckily, Parker reacted quickly, crouching to block my fall, preventing my face from hitting the ground. But I landed right in his arms. Thump, thump. My right ear pressed against Parker's chest. His heartbeat pulsed clearly and powerfully right by my ear. It made my face burn bright red. I scrambled out of his embrace, flustered and awkward, forcing a laugh. Whoa, Dr. Ning, your heart's beating really fast, haha. Parker stood up with me, the lollipop returning to my lips, his expression gentle and focused. Because my heart is racing. My eyes widened slightly. This? Was it what I thought it meant? Woof woof woof. Bella's bark saved me just in time. Turning my head, I saw her baring her teeth at a customer just exiting my shop, blocking their path. Whoa! I rushed over, yanking her leash. Bella, they paid. They paid. They can go. No need to block them. Bella growled low in her throat, pausing for a few seconds before finally stepping aside. I hurriedly apologized to the customer and saw them off properly. Lifting my gaze, I caught sight of Helen crossing the street from the opposite corner. She looked haggard, her eyes red and swollen, as if she'd been crying. How peculiar. A woman who seemed to have it all, love and career, could actually cry? But honestly, it wasn't my concern. I crouched down, hugged Bella's head, and breathed a sigh of relief. Whispering in her ear, I said, thanks, Bella. Otherwise, I really wouldn't have known how to respond to Parker. What I didn't expect was this: that very night, me, Parker, and Bella went viral. Earlier that day, a 1 million-follower short video blogger happened to be live streaming at my shop. Seeing me crouched by the roadside, having Bella show me reports, they found it amusing and pointed their camera at us. Then, they broadcast every flirty tug-of-war between Parker and me, and Bella's relentless pursuit of her debt, crystal clear. Several terms shot up the charts one after another. Divine dog watching the shop, divine look, CP the doctor and the boss lady are too good together. The call came in just after 2 a.m. I was sound asleep, buried deep in my blankets, and answered groggily, hello. Silence hung heavy on the other end. After a few seconds of waiting, I frowned, my voice growing muffled. Hello? Speak up, who is this? If you don't say anything, I'm hanging up. Skylar, what gave you the nerve to actually be with him? Are you trying to die? Harvey's voice came through the receiver. The next second, I hung up and rolled over to sleep. Before drifting back into slumber, I muttered, what a nightmare. The viral popularity of this video far exceeded my wildest expectations. Netizens flocked to my hot pot restaurant, instantly turning it into an internet-famous spot. Long lines formed daily outside the door. Everyone was waiting to see Bella come to work, watch Parker pick me up after work, and indulge in the couple's chemistry. Within days, the 30% of customers Helen had stolen from me returned tenfold, all because of Parker and Bella. So, as closing time approached that day, Helen arrived. She handed me the bouquet she was holding and smiled kindly, congratulations, Skylar. I had a server take the flowers, looked up with a smile, and got straight to the point, Miss Helen, is there something you need? It was after closing hours. I wanted her to leave, not sit down. The smile faded from Helen's lips. She finally dropped the act of innocence, glaring at me with arrogant coldness. Skylar, name your price. I froze. You want to buy my shop? Not just that, Helen said, her gaze heavy. I want you to vanish completely from City A. I waved to the waitress, signaling her to leave. Then I chuckled lightly. Miss Tang, what nonsense are you talking about? The world is vast. As long as you two don't come looking for me, I think we could go our whole lives without ever meeting again. Helen snorted coldly, her eyes reflecting pride and contempt. Skylar, don't think hooking up with Parker will catapult you and your shabby shop into high society. Don't you know the Ning family's background? Even if Parker has an older brother to take the heat and he doesn't have to inherit the family business, do you really think they'd accept someone from a lowly hot pot shop like yours? So let me give you some advice, don't be so ungrateful. While your shop still has value and I haven't decided to destroy you completely, grab your money and get the hell out. Though her words were harsh, Helen's logic was undeniably sharp. Quite unexpected. Actually, my hot pot restaurant makes a decent profit, I'm certainly not short on cash. But, in Beijing's elite social circles, where the wealthy gather, it's nothing to write home about. Still, I genuinely don't understand, when I was with Harvey, you two weren't even on good terms. You chose to walk away yourself. After you returned, I left without a word. I never fought, never competed, never crossed him. Why must you target me like this? After I finished my questions, a flash of irritation crossed Helen's face. Then she gave a cold snort. Harvey's blinded by his own situation, but I'm not blind. It's obvious he has feelings for you. If I didn't act early, was I supposed to wait for you to come back fully recovered and replace me? Helen spoke angrily, her demeanor still haughty. Yet tears of hurt welled up unconsciously in her eyes. Since I came back, he hasn't touched me once. He just stares blankly at his phone all the time. The other day I kissed him first, and he reflexively snapped, Skylar, stop messing around. What gives you the right to compete with me? Who do you think you are? Even if I said I didn't want him, what gives you the right to pick him up? I don't know what Parker was thinking, taking on a dirty used shoe like you. Because nothing's as dirty as your mouth. Parker's voice came from the doorway. Helen and I froze, staring blankly as he walked up behind me and shielded me. So according to Miss Tang, missing out on one man makes you a used goods? Better just die then, right? No point living? Who knew Miss Tang dresses so trendy but thinks so old-fashioned? The angle prevented me from seeing Parker's expression. But I could clearly see Helen's face go pale. Just as I marveled at the power of his words, Parker suddenly turned sideways, looked at me, and smiled gently. Don't worry. My family doesn't have mouths that filthy. We judge people by their character and whether we click. He paused, then nodded toward Bella by the door. Even our dog does. It almost sounded like an insult. Closing the shop was late into the night. The neighborhood was quiet, fallen leaves landing without a sound. Parker and I walked side by side, walking Bella while heading home. Sorry about that, Dr. Ning. For always bothering you to lend me Bella. No problem, Parker said, smiling at Bella. Kids grow up. Time to earn a living. I smiled back, though it was a bit forced. After a few seconds of hesitation, I spoke up, also, about those online CP rumors about us. I'm sorry. Parker stopped in his tracks. Under the streetlight, his eyes shone brightly as he leaned in slightly toward me. An apology, really? I thought it might be an answer. An answer after over a month of getting to know each other, starting from that blind date. Miss Skylar, may I ask, could our CP become real? Again? Though I knew full well I wasn't quite in love with Parker yet. But this guy, as a grandma's choice, had more than enough going for him. When someone this handsome flirts like that, who could resist? I instantly tensed up, digging my nails into my toes, and pointed nervously toward the building entrance behind me. I'm home. Good night, Dr. Ning. With that, I turned and bolted into the building, fleeing in panic. My face was still flushed even after stepping out of the elevator. I touched my burning cheeks, exhaled, and silently scolded myself. Skylar, how old are you? Never seen a handsome guy before? Never been in love? It's just a confession. What the hell am I so nervous about? I patted my cheeks, lifted my head, and took a step forward, only to freeze in shock at the sight of someone standing right outside my door. It was Harvey, whom I hadn't seen in over a month. Seems like you've been having quite a good time these past few days. Harvey's face was cold as he strode toward me. The click of his dress shoes on the floor echoed loudly in the quiet night. Instinctively, I took a step back. No wonder, this version of Harvey was intimidating. But my retreat seemed to provoke him. He lunged forward, grabbing my wrist. Who gave you permission to avoid me? My body slammed against the wall beside us. An angry kiss, rough and biting, pressed against my lips. Our lips rubbed together, tangled with the scent of alcohol. I struggled to push him away, panicked and desperate. Let me go. A loud slap landed on Harvey's face. It sent his head jerking to the side. Harvey touched his cheek with his tongue, smiling in a way that was terrifying. But his arms still pinned me, cutting off my escape. You really are with him? I frowned, opening my mouth to speak, but before I could utter a sound, Harvey suddenly tightened his grip around my waist. His handsome face drew close, nearly touching my nose, his expression dark and menacing. Say yes, and I'll tear you apart. My head pressed against the wall, I pushed away from Harvey as far as I could, meeting his gaze with icy eyes. If you don't leave now, I'll really call for help. As I spoke, I reached out to push him again, only for him to seize my wrist. Break up with him. Harvey stared at me, his dark eyes deep and haunting. Come back. Let's start over. Then his shoulders slumped suddenly, as if conceding defeat, his voice softening. I just can't bear seeing you with someone else. Skylar, you really won. You won completely. That day you took your bags, I truly believed you were gone for good. I thought I wouldn't care at all. But these past weeks, you've been all I can think about. Nothing feels right without you. The thought of you with Parker makes me want to drag you back here right now. Any day in the past 4 years, these words would have made me sob uncontrollably. This sincere, heartbroken Harvey, if he'd come just a month earlier, I wouldn't have needed him to beg, I would have given him my heart without hesitation. But it was too late. It was far too late. I shook my head gently, seized the moment to push him away, and turned toward home. Sorry, but what does this have to do with me? Look, go back and try to get used to it. Slowly, you'll get used to life without me. Go back and make things work with Helen. Stop dwelling on this nonsense. My fingerprint unlocked the door with a soft beep. I gently pulled the door open. But behind me came a hurried voice. I'll break up with her. Fine? My eyes widened in disbelief at what I'd heard. What did fine even mean? As if I'd forced him into this. If I had the power to force him into anything, would I have been humiliated like that before? Harvey took a few steps toward me but stopped short. Perhaps the alcohol had clouded him, for his voice carried an unprecedented mix of confusion and resignation. All this time, I've been trying to convince myself that Helen is the one I love. I think I should love her. But it's wrong. It just feels wrong. Stepping inside, I felt strangely calm, even growing weary of his words. Harvey, it doesn't matter anymore. Who you love has nothing to do with me. I truly don't care. Just don't love me. Then tell me. Harvey's voice rose, frayed with frustration. What do I have to do to get you back? My fingers tightened around the doorknob. I didn't turn back, then call the police. I didn't expect Harvey wouldn't call the police. I did. Because my restaurant had an incident. Over a dozen customers were hospitalized with food poisoning after eating hot pot there. An anonymous tipster reported serious food safety issues at my restaurant. At the same time, the twisted truth about how I pursued Harvey after stepping in as his backup was dug up. That post ran on and on, every word accusing me. It called me shameless, saying I'd seduced Harvey while Helen was abroad for training. In an instant, fans shipping me and Parker went wild, their hearts shattered. The online backlash against me was relentless. But amidst all this bad news, there was one silver lining. Namely, I also got food poisoning. After all, I was homeless. My 3 daily meals came from the hot pot restaurant's ingredients. Netizens who had been ready to condemn me as unscrupulous stopped in their tracks upon seeing this. Now I believe this food poisoning was an accident. Fine, I'll reluctantly trust your hot pot place, but I still doubt your character. Wait! This die-hard CP fan screams. Skylar got poisoned. Did she go to Dr. Ning's hospital? Yes. And as luck would have it, Parker was the one treating me. Parker in his white coat stood by my hospital bed, adjusting the 4-drip speed expressionlessly. He was always so gentle and warm, this sudden seriousness felt oddly unfamiliar. Burrowing deeper under the covers, I whispered, Dr. Ning, is it serious? Not serious, Parker replied flatly. A few days rest should do it. Then why the serious face? Because this situation is serious. Parker tucked away the medical records and turned to leave, adding over his shoulder, no sugar for the next couple days. Huh? The sudden shift in topic left me dazed as I nodded blankly. Okay. TSK, Parker's mad, someone's in trouble. The handsome cop taking notes by my bed suddenly shook his head, making disapproving sounds. His familiar tone caught me off guard. "Why do you say that?" The handsome cop pursed his lips, because whoever did this to you, even if they turned to ashes, this guy would dig them up for another interrogation. What a fool. Why pick a fight with him? Ning heir just doesn't want to inherit the family business. It's not like he's rejecting Ning family education. The Ning family. Even their dogs seem possessed. What good people are there? Suddenly, the fluid flowing into my body felt unnervingly cold. I wondered if it was truly because Parker had intervened. The police investigation moved with astonishing speed. By the third day, they'd uncovered the real mastermind behind the tampering of my hot pot restaurant's ingredients. Unsurprisingly, it was Helen. On the night Harvey came to me drunk, begging me to take him back only to be rejected, he'd returned home muttering my name incessantly, pleading for me to return to him. Helen, enraged by this, hatched the scheme to drive me away for good. But now, with the police's public announcement, her reputation in the circle is utterly ruined. At the same time, the whole story of how Harvey and I got together has been thoroughly dug up by netizens. Wait, so Helen never even accepted Harvey's confession? What kind of stolen boyfriend is this? She discarded him herself, then had him cherished like a treasure for 4 years, and now she has the nerve to come back demanding him? Holy crap, Skylar is seriously screwed. She worked so hard to win him over, only to have him snatched away? So infuriating. Is Harvey blind? Holy crap, I work at the wedding planning company. I can confirm that on the day Helen returned, Skylar had the villa decorated and was planning to propose to Harvey. This comment immediately sparked an uproar. Everyone started tagging Harvey, sarcastically reminding him, "You missed out on such a heartfelt proposal. You missed someone who loved you so deeply. Just ask Harvey, do you regret it?" What was even more jaw-dropping was that Harvey actually replied, "Yeah, I regret it immensely. I'm preparing to make amends, win her back. When Parker saw this trending comment, I was sitting on the hospital bed munching on an apple. Suddenly, he turned his head toward me, catching me off guard. What is it? Not even an apple?" Parker shook his head, his expression still dark, his voice muffled. "You can eat it." "Oh." I responded skeptically, taking a small bite. "If," Parker suddenly spoke again, startling me into choking, cough. He cleared his throat, leaving me genuinely confused. "If what?" "Nothing," Parker shook his head. "Just thinking, if you ever get stupid enough to come back, I'll set the dogs on you." I silently pushed my invisible glasses up with my middle finger. But eventually, I understood what Parker meant. Because that night, Harvey showed up in my hospital room. He reeked of alcohol but didn't seem drunk. Instead, he looked like someone who'd been exhausted for ages and finally understood something. His eyes were bright. "Skylar, I know everything now." I was completely dumbfounded. "What?" "No, what?" And just as I froze, unable to react, Harvey pulled a red velvet box from his pocket. "Don't open it," I blurted out instinctively. Harvey's fingers froze. He lifted his gaze to meet mine, his voice rough and hoarse. "Why, I already know you were going to propose to me that day. Skylar, we were supposed to get married. You loved me so much. You didn't really give up on me, did you?" Harvey's eyes filled with desperate hope as he continued. "Skylar, I regret breaking up with you. I was wrong. I've ended things with Helen. I won't waver anymore. Come back to me. Let's start over, okay?" "No," I shook my head and quietly took the ring box from his hand. The soft red velvet felt familiar. I didn't need to open it to know it held a beautiful, sparkling diamond ring. But I didn't want it anymore. So I said softly, "Yes, it's true. I was planning to propose to you that day. But Harvey, you missed your chance." Harvey's eyes dimmed. He shook his head, his tone stubborn. "No, you love me. Skylar, you've loved me for so many years, how could you give up on me so easily? We didn't miss our chance. If you come back, we can start over, right? For years ago, you were the one who pursued me. I gave us a chance to try. So now, can you give me a chance to win you back?" Our eyes locked. The stubbornness and deep affection in Harvey's gaze were so clear. For a moment, I felt an unmistakable certainty. This time, he truly wouldn't give up on me. My eyes fluttered. Just as I was about to speak, the corner of my eye caught the fleeting shadow of a person and a dog outside the door. All right, I'll give you a chance. I smiled and nodded. Then, under Harvey's delighted gaze, I flung the diamond ring box out the window. Find this ring, and I'll start over with you. Harvey's eyes flickered. He stared at me and nodded solemnly, all right. On the day of my discharge, Parker arrived with Bella. I stood at the hospital room window, silently watching Harvey search the garden below. After days of searching, he found the ring box. But the ring inside remained lost. Whether it was discarded or picked up by someone else, I couldn't say. If he finds it, are you really going to get back together with him? Parker had appeared beside me without warning. His expression was dark and his tone laced with bitterness. Bella crouched proudly beside his left leg. As if the moment I dared say yes, he'd unleash the dog on me. I couldn't help but smile. Of course. Parker's face darkened instantly. I gave him a sly grin and pulled a sparkling diamond ring from my pocket, that is, if he actually finds it. Since he refused to let go, I'd have to solve this my way. He deserved to taste the same bitter disappointment I'd felt, that moment when hope seemed within reach, only to crumble into utter despair. My heart, once placed into his hands personally. He caught it but didn't treasure it, casually tossing it aside only to stomp on it a few times. So why should I forgive him just because he realized his mistake? Tisk, Parker shook his head with a click, though the smile at the corner of his mouth was impossible to suppress. Miss Lin's thoughts are quite ruthless. She'd fit right in with our Ning family. Now then, Miss Lin, can you give me an answer? About our arranged meeting, would you like to take things further? I tilted my head, raising an eyebrow, but didn't reply immediately. Instead, I crouched down to ruffle Bella's fur and asked with a smile, Bella, what do you say? Woof! More dramatic love stories coming. Subscribe if you're into this kind of mess.